Hello and welcome to the video lecture series brought to you by St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. My name is Ravinder. I am an assistant professor with ETC department and we are discussing the subject called Object Technologies and Programming. Okay, and for the past few lectures we are discussing the different paradigms used in the OOPs, and in the last lecture we are talking about the constructor and this keyword. Okay, so today we are going to extend that particular topic to constructor overloading. Yesterday we have seen how a constructor works, why we use constructor, how we can initialize it, how we can pass arguments to the constructor so that the properties could be populated. And today we are going to see the constructors overloading. Now in the last lecture we have seen a single constructor, how to initialize. To summarize the last lecture, a constructor will always be named as same as the name of the class with no return type and no access modifier. It will always be defined in the public section of the class. It can accept arguments or not, that is, your constructor could be default or could be with parameters. And constructors are always called to create a new object, that is after the new keyword. To create an object, the constructor will always be called, whether you write that particular constructor or not. If there is no constructor written in your class, then compiler will automatically insert a default constructor for you. Okay, so today we are going to see how to overload the constructor. Now what is overloading of the constructor? Now suppose you have made an application for the banks, and for that what you have done there is that you have made a page, and that page contains few of the fields for your new customers, and that new customer, so that new customer can have name, can have his Aadhaar ID number and age. Let's say we have you have created 3 fields there to create a bank account in your bank with the help of your application. Now to create every new customer, let's suppose you have to create a new object of the class called customers. Now suppose at the time of the apart from name, you will also populate the area with a new field called you will also create a new field called last name. Okay, now few of the people or individuals or the customers will be there which will not have second name or which don't possess the second name. In that case, we cannot left that particular let's say value to any default value. Okay, or you can say in that case, when you are going to submit the form as a bank employee, when you are going to submit the form, you have to keep that last name input as empty, because the customer will not have because the customer don't possess a last name, in that case a legal last name, that is in his documents. As you know that only documented names are allowed in the bank, that is your documented proof name. So in that case, if you have used a parameterized constructor to populate the name to create a new object for that particular customer, then it is not going to compile, because it would require all the 4 fields there to instantiate a new object of the class customer. Okay, because it's your that constructor actually requires the name, the last name, the age and Aadhaar ID number. Although the customer will have a name, will have a age and will have a Aadhaar ID number, but he may or may not possess a last name. Okay, so there is the discrepancy, there is the problem that you have defined your class and constructor such that it must create the object only after accepting the 4 arguments, that is the name, last name, age, and your Aadhaar ID number. But there will be some cases in which your last name will not be there. So in that case, you will not be able to, or the employee will not be able to create the object for that particular customer. Okay. So what to do in that case? In these cases, the constructor overloading will take place, or you will solve that particular problem by using the constructor overloading. Now, what is constructor overloading? Constructor overloading simply means that you are creating more than one constructor in a single class. Although the name of the constructor will be same, but the number of arguments it is going to accept, or the parameters or the number of parameters it is going to accept, will be different. So to the solution to the last problem that we have discussed about the bank employee. So in that case, you're going to create a class called customer, and in that class you're going to create 2 constructors. The first constructor will be the one which is going to accept the 4 fields, that is the first name, last name, Aadhaar ID number, and the age. And second constructor will be there which will accept only 3 arguments, that is the first name, the age, and the Aadhaar ID number. So what happens to the last name? In that particular constructor, you are going to initialize the last name as blank with a blank string. So that is default. In that case, whenever the bank employee is going to insert only 3 arguments to create a new object for a new customer with no last name, there will be no application break off, or there will be no application termination, and he is going to successfully create a new object for that particular customer, or he is going to successfully create a new instance for that particular customer, because compiler will call that constructor according to the number of parameters you are going to pass. So if you are going to pass the 4 parameters, that is first name, last name, your Aadhaar ID number, and age, in that case the compiler will automatically, or runtime will automatically will call the constructor which accept 4 arguments. And if the employee is going to insert only 3 arguments, in that case it will automatically call the constructor with 3 arguments. So the runtime will decide which constructor to call on the basis of the number of arguments that you are going to pass. So let's see that example. We have started one example in the last lecture. We are going to continue with that. Oh, sorry, I think we have already opened up. Let me close this. We cancel this. Yeah, I've already opened the. Yeah, so this is the example that we have started yesterday. Today I'm going to create a default. See, we have already created a constructor there which accepts only one parameter, that is name, and all the three remaining properties we have left uninitialized. So today we are going to deal with that. So I'm going to create 4, let's say, constructor for this class, so that if you want to create a dog in object, it is entirely up to you which of the fields you want to populate and which of the fields you don't want to populate. Okay, so let's start doing that. First, I'm going to create a default constructor. So it will be like dog, and it will accept no arguments at all. Okay, so in this case, what I will do is name is equal to default, and breed is equal to default, and age is equal to, let's say, 0, and size is again equal to default. Okay. Oh, I think I misspelled size. Yeah, there it is. So if you decide not to populate the fields of your new object, in that case it is absolutely okay. Everything that is name, breed, age and size has been set to default. Okay. Next one is going to be, suppose I want only name. That has already been created. If you want only name, it has already been taken care of. Okay, so what I'll do is I will call this. So what it is going to do this, that the name is going to be populated with the name that you want, but every other field is going to be set to default, because this with the parameters brackets is actually calling this particular constructor. It is actually calling this particular constructor. So by using this constructor, what we are doing is, it is actually calling this particular constructor. It will sorry, it will populate the field with default values that I have written here, and then it's going to change or repopulate the name field with the argument that you have passed. So it's going to change this particular field only, and all these three will be defaulted. Okay. So next we are going to populate two fields only, that is dog and let's say string name, and next one will be, let's say, what's next one? Yeah, string breed. Okay, so I will call this first, and then this dot name is equal to name, and this dot breed is equal to breed. Okay, that is it. Then the fourth constructor will accept 4 arguments. So dog, so I'll do is I'll just copy this. It's not good to write if we do it. So this, and it's populate int as h. Okay, so I'll call this, sorry, this, and yeah, so this, and this dot dot name is equal to name, and this dot breed is equal to breed, and this dot age is equal to age. That is it. So we have saved this one. Now we have option to not to pass any argument, to pass exactly 1 argument, to pass exactly 2 arguments, or pass exactly 3 arguments. You can choose any one of these options, and let me tell you that your object instantiation will not fail, because we have created all the 4 options. So let's try this in the main class. So in first we have, yeah, okay, so let me make a copy of this, and we make one more copy of this. So dog 1, dog 2, and dog 3, and dog 4. Okay, so one of them will not have any arguments. One of them will have let's say chow chow, 2 arguments exactly, and the other one will have, let's say, Labrador, and age is, let's say, 5. So we have 4 constructors with us. One accepts only one argument, second accepts two arguments, third three, and fourth one is default. So let's try to, what should we do? We should okay, we have to make one more change. Yeah, use this one. Let's see, and instead of name, let's say breed and age and what is the size? Size is 8. Okay, let's do it. We have just to see the example if it's working or not. Yeah, and we have made changes in the eat. So what I'll do is I will remove this and I will call this method for each one of the objects. Control V and Control V. So dog2, dog3rd, and dog4th. Let's see what happens now. If it is okay or not to do this. Okay. Let me enlarge this first. So Anthony is eating, default is eating 0, and Anthony is eating. Simon is eating. Okay. So these four values, first four values are for this Anthony. So it has called this constructor with only one, and everything else is default. Okay. Where is the console? Yeah, and for the Simon, we have passed go to this one, and here it is. For next, we have set three of them, that is Simon and Chow Chow. And for the last one, you can see that default is eating 0, and default is eating because we haven't passed any. Hello. Okay, sorry for the doorbell. Someone has came to the door. So where we are? So yeah, as you can see, these four lines, the values are all default because in this case, that is dog4, which is called the method eat, we haven't passed any argument. So if we haven't passed any arguments, in that case, the constructor which the runtime has picked up is actually, where is the default one? Yeah, it's actually this one. Okay. So we have made one mistake here. It should be size. And now we are going to run it again because now at this time it's going to be perfect. Yeah, now it is. So in the first case, that is dog1, we have passed only one argument. So for one argument, it has picked up this one, this particular constructor, because the signature of this actually matches the one argument signature in the dog1 class. You can go back in the video and watch that. Okay. So in that case, three of the values will be default, that is the breed, age, and size, but the fourth value, that is name, is the name that you have passed, that is Anthony. And then default is eating, 0 is the age, and size is eating, so default is eating. Okay, you can look out here. The name is the name Anthony, and then the breed we haven't passed. So let's say, let me show you again what is happening. When you passed only one parameters, the runtime will look for all the constructor types, and it will found that okay, this one matches the signature that you have passed on there. This constructor accepts only one argument. So this is the constructor actually we are trying to call. So it will call this constructor, and after calling this constructor, the first thing is this particular constructor is going to call this default constructor. So all the four values, name is equal to default, breed is equal to default, age is equal to 0, and size is equal to default is set. at this point of time. Now we have changed the field name as the name that we have passed. So all these three are untouched. These three will remain default, but we have repopulated the name as the name Anthony. So that is why one has changed to Anthony and all other three are actually the default. And these default values are because we have called the default constructor in the beginning. And the order is very important. Let me tell you, if you change the order of these two statements, you will see default, default, default. Okay, so I think this is just this here is just simple variable assignment statement. In this particular line, the variable name is equal to default. In this particular line, the variable name has now become the name that we have passed, in this case Anthony. Okay, that is simple. So I'll end this lecture now, and tomorrow we are going to start with methods. Thank you.